Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and investigate what is essentially a historical crime scene, one that absolutely defies human logic. We're heading to the ancient city of Baalbek in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon to look at a structure that leaves the greatest scientific and architectural minds completely and utterly baffled. To really understand the sheer scale of the mystery here, we have to start by picturing a civilization achieving the absolute impossible. I mean, just imagine taking a single stone with a weight equal to 3 massive blue whales, perfectly cutting it out of the earth, and then somehow moving it 1.5 kilometers across incredibly uneven terrain. Oh, and doing all of this thousands of years ago. It sounds like pure fiction, right? Well, let's look at the evidence. Part 1, The Stones of Baalbek. Our investigation kicks off at the world-famous Temple of Jupiter. Now, on the surface, it looks like a classic Roman marvel, but archaeologists discovered that it actually sits on a foundation that is much, much older and vastly larger than anything the Romans ever built. 900,000 kilograms. Let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering weight of just one of the 3 massive foundation blocks sitting beneath the Roman temple. Collectively, these 3 foundation stones are known as the trilithon. And here is the truly incredible part. They aren't just resting right on the ground. These 900-ton behemoths were somehow lifted 30 feet up into the air to form the base of the structure, and they were placed side by side with absolutely 0 gaps between them. To put that into perspective, these stones completely dwarf modern engineering marvels and famous ancient structures alike. Just a single trilithon stone is 1.5 times heavier than the heaviest aircraft ever built, the Antonov AN-225. It's 10 times larger than the biggest stones used to build the Great Pyramid of Giza. And whoever placed them there did it with such microscopic precision that you literally cannot even slide a single thin piece of paper between the joints. It is a masterpiece of precision engineering at a scale that just seems completely out of place in our accepted human timeline. Part 2, The Roman Empire Disconnect. Now, you might logically assume the Romans built this foundation when they built the temple on top of it, but the evidence actually eliminates them as our primary suspects. The math simply doesn't add up. Historians have extensively documented Roman construction capabilities, and we know for a fact that the absolute maximum lifting capacity of the very best Roman cranes was 60 tons. The single trilithon stones, 900 tons. It is physically and mathematically impossible for the Romans to have lifted these foundation stones with the technology they had. Plus, the Romans were incredibly meticulous, right? They recorded everything and used very specific methods to build. Whenever they used cranes to lift heavy stones, they carved a distinctive hole into the rock called a Lewis hole, which let their lifting tools grip the block safely. But if you examine these massive Baalbek foundation stones, there are absolutely 0 Lewis holes to be found anywhere. So it really begs the question, if the Romans mathematically could not have lifted them, and the architects of the Temple of Jupiter merely built on top of an already existing, mind-bogglingly heavy foundation, we have to look for other clues to identify the original builders. Which brings us to Part 3, Mysterious Ancient Tool Marks. Let's look at the physical evidence left on the stones themselves, because it deepens the mystery significantly. When you look closely, you see something that just shouldn't be there. We see these strange 10-foot parallel marks running along the stone. Honestly, they perfectly resemble the grooves left behind by modern heavy-duty mining machinery. But what is truly wild here is that these identical marks appear globally. They aren't just in Lebanon. They're carved into a 16,000-ton stone in the Yangshan quarry in China, and they mark the mountains of Petra in Jordan, which was carved over 2,300 years ago. According to historical records, there was absolutely no ancient hand tool capable of leaving these kinds of uniform mechanical parallel tracks. Part 4, The Quarry's Hidden Giants. To find the source of these mechanically marked stones, we have to travel about 1.5 kilometers away from the temple to an ancient limestone quarry, where the real shock awaits. Lying incomplete in this quarry is a massive block known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, 1,200 tons. That is roughly the equivalent weight of 4 massive Boeing 747 airplanes. We're talking 68 feet long and 14 feet thick. Even with today's advanced technology, it would take an army of about 20 modern cranes all working together just to safely budge this thing. Yet ancient workers somehow carved it directly out of the bedrock before suddenly abandoning the project. The bottom of the stone is actually still attached to the earth. They just stopped and left it there.
Part 5. Dating the massive stones. Okay, let's look at how archaeologists finally figured out a timeline for this abandoned quarry project. And get ready because the dates are going to surprise you.
We can actually date this using soil accumulation. Nature naturally deposits about 1 inch of soil every 80 to 100 years. When older photos of the quarry were analyzed, the stone of the pregnant woman was found buried under roughly 10 feet, or 120 inches of dirt. If we do the math out loud, 120 inches times 80 years gives us an age of at least 9,600 years. This means they were carving these colossal blocks during the Stone Age. That drastically predates the Roman Empire by a staggering 10,000 years. 1,650 tons. Because just when you thought it couldn't possibly get any heavier, a 2014 excavation right next to that first stone revealed an even bigger monster buried in the dirt. This newly discovered block is known as the Forgotten Stone, and it is officially the world's largest quarried block. We don't even know exactly how deep it goes into the earth. Finding this proves that whatever civilization was working here was operating on a scale completely unknown to modern science. Part 6. Who were the builders? So we are left with an impossible crime scene and 0 conventional suspects. We have to look at the terrifying logistics of the site and see what ancient records actually say. Think about the logistics for a second. We're talking about moving blocks the weight of 3 blue whales uphill over rough terrain and doing it without leaving a transport road, a feat no known civilization could achieve. The path from the quarry to the temple is 1.5 kilometers, entirely uphill and incredibly uneven. Yet, archaeologists have found absolutely 0 evidence of a smooth, carved transport road that would have been required to slide stones of this staggering magnitude. How on earth did they get them up there? Without a mechanical explanation for how Stone Age humans could possibly pull this off, some researchers point directly to ancient texts. Various religious books like the Bible, the Quran, and Hindu scriptures all describe a prehistoric era of giant superhumans. The Bible refers to them as the Nephilim. Some of these texts claim these beings possessed immense strength and reached staggering heights, anywhere from 100 feet to even 450 feet tall. Now, for beings of that impossible size, carrying 900-ton blocks uphill, that might have been totally feasible. So as we wrap up this explainer, you really have to ask yourself a profound question. When faced with impossible math, completely unliftable weights, and identical tool marks spanning the globe, are we simply missing a massive chapter of human technological history? Or are the ancient myths of giants actually true? It is a puzzle that continues to baffle our greatest minds, and I'll leave you to ponder what really happened in the Bekaa Valley all those thousands of years ago.